When Athens fell at the end of the Peloponnesian War, Sparta and Thebes began to assert themselves, and first one and then the other controlled the Greek mainland. In 359, Macedonia, led by King Philip II, sought control of Greece. His very, very famous son, Alexander, was born in 356 in Pella, Macedonia. In 343, Alexander begins to be tutored by Aristotle. In 342, Alexander wins Bucephalus, his horse. In one episode, his father, Philip, was considering purchasing a magnificent black stallion, but the horse was too wild. Nobody believed it could be tamed, but the 14-year-old Alexander decided that he could do it. He leapt onto its back and started a 16-year relationship with the horse, which he named Bucephalus. As the story goes, Philip was so proud of Alexander that he said to him, "My son, look thee out, a kingdom equal to and worthy of thyself, for Macedonia is too little for thee." And indeed, Alexander would go on to try to conquer the known world. In 335, he crushed a revolt at Thebes. In 333, he sliced the famous Gordian knot. The legend behind the ancient knot was that the man who could untie it was destined to rule the entire world. Alexander, very wise, simply slashed the knot with his sword and unraveled it. In 331, Alexander visited Egypt, and an oracle there confirmed his divinity. In 327, Alexander began to invade India. He actually had no idea how big India was. He got halfway, then turned around, and took 1 year to get back. In 324, Alexander's best friend died. Some people say Hephaestion was actually his lover. And then in 323, Alexander, at 33 years old, died in Babylon. But not before he had conquered most of Europe, Asia, into Persia, and he began, as I said, into India. For his greater glory, he founded some 70 cities in the lands that he conquered, and ordered them named after himself. Most famous is Alexandria in Egypt. In 11 years, from 335 to 324 BC, Alexander and his army battled their way across 22,000 miles. For perspective on that distance, think about traveling across America 8 times, say from Virginia to Washington State. No one actually could agree on a successor to Alexander after he died, and so as happens so often, his empire fractured. After Alexander's death in 323 and lasting until 146, which is the date of the Roman conquest of Greece, we enter a period called Hellenistic Greece. And to Hellenize just means to spread Greek influence. The philosophies of Hellenistic Greece were Stoicism and Epicureanism. The Stoics believed that nothing should be done in excess, that everything should be moderated and done according to one's reason. Epicureans believed, on the other hand, sort of in the philosophy of seize today because tomorrow you may die. Their goal in life was to maximize pleasure and to minimize pain. And many of the Greeks were skeptics. They were questioning things during this period of time. If you look at the art in the Hellenistic period, you will see it have three basic characteristics. Realism, just like the art of the classical period. But unlike the classical period, art in the Hellenistic period became much more emotional and much more expressive. If you look at these different busts of Alexander the Great, you can see how each one of them attempts to not only depict him in a realistic way, but try to depict him in a way that shows his character, that shows his emotion and his expressiveness. And perhaps one of the best examples of the emotion and the expressive nature of Hellenistic art is the Laocoon. And here I hope you can really see the figure in motion, how it's trying to escape, to break free here. So not only do you have a realistic portrayal, but you have a very emotional and expressive one. So as we think back in Greek art, I want you to see how very, very far we've come. From those early cycladic idols, very featureless, to realistic depictions of the human form, finally to great emotion and expression.